The razor-sharp wind clawed at Lily's tiny face as she huddled over the two precious bundles in her arms, her slight 5-year-old frame the only shield against the brutal blizzard. Her fingers, already turning a deep purple from the biting cold, fussily tucked the thin blankets around the newborn twins, who slept on, oblivious to the peril surrounding them. "Shh, it's going to be okay," she whispered, the words more for her own comfort than for the infant's, her voice trembling as violently as her body. "Lily's here. Lily won't let anything bad happen to you." The stretch of I-80 before her seemed to vanish into the impenetrable white curtain of snow that fell without remorse. Miles behind her lay the Hopewell foster home, where just hours ago she had made the most courageous and desperate choice of her young life. 4 hours prior, the faint cries of one of the twins had drifted down the shadowy hallway of the foster home. Lily, unable to sleep, had been watching from the window of the dormitory-style room as the first flakes began to fall, her heart thumping when she overheard Ms. Davis's callous voice in the hall. "Early tomorrow morning, they'll be sent to different homes here. It's all arranged." The words hit the little girl like a physical blow. Separate the twins? Her little brothers, the ones she had promised to protect? Her mother's last words, the last time she'd seen her, echoed in her mind. "Take care of them, Emily. You need to stay together, no matter what." Fueled by a resolve far beyond her years, Lily waited for the dead silence of night to descend upon the home. Barefoot, she moved like a phantom through the corridors she knew by heart, slipping into the nursery where the twins slept. She meticulously wrapped them in the warmest blankets she could find, and, with one in each arm, made her way to the back kitchen door, the one the cooks always forgot to lock. In the present, Lily stumbled, her knees buckling for a terrifying moment before she found her footing again. How long had it been since she'd eaten? The half-eaten granola bar she'd crammed into her thin coat pocket was a distant memory. One of the twins, Ethan she thought, though it was hard to tell, started to whimper. The sound was a knife in her heart. They needed milk, warmth, a safe harbor. But where could she go? Where could she possibly run when the entire world felt so cold and hostile? Darkness was beginning to bleed into the landscape, transforming the white expanse into a sea of menacing shadows. Lily knew the night was a predator. In the dark, the cold grew crueler, and the sounds of the storm seemed to amplify every fear she was desperately trying to suppress. "Mommy," she murmured, a single tear freezing on her cheek. "Help me protect them. I promised I'd take care of them, but I'm so scared." A distant howl made her blood run cold. Wolves? No, probably just stray dogs, but that meant someone from Hopewell might be searching for them. Mustering her last ounce of strength, Lily scrambled off the road, finding precarious shelter beneath a pine tree with low-hanging, snow-laden branches. There, attempting to use her own body as a windbreak, she began to softly sing the same lullaby her mother used to sing to her. "Twinkle, twinkle, little star." Her voice was a fragile, trembling whisper against the encroaching night, but it was all she had to offer her brothers, besides her fierce love and an unshakable will to keep them together. As the shadows deepened and the cold gnawed at her bones, Lily kept her lonely vigil, a tiny 5-year-old guardian confronting a world too vast, too frigid, but refusing to surrender. The distant purr of an engine sliced through the blizzard's howl. Lily hugged the twins tighter, pulling herself closer to the tree trunk. Was it salvation or danger approaching on the frozen highway? Her small heart hammered against her ribs as she waited, caught between raw fear and a glimmer of hope. The engine of the Cadillac Escalade was a near-silent hum as Ryan Carter navigated the desolate stretch of highway, snowflakes performing a hypnotic ballet in the powerful LED headlights. His navigation app had suggested this route as a shortcut back to Los Angeles after his latest business meeting in San Francisco, but now, with the blizzard intensifying, he was seriously second-guessing that digital advice. Inside the lavish cabin of the Escalade, the only sound was the mellow thrum of a jazz trio from the premium sound system. It was the kind of solitude that usually allowed Ryan to decompress after a long day of high-stakes negotiations. But tonight, his mind was agitated, drifting to memories he usually kept locked away. At 32, Ryan was the kind of man magazines loved to feature. The wunderkind of the tech world, Austin's youngest billionaire, from foster kid to CEO, titles he'd learned to ignore, even though each one carried a sliver of truth that sometimes haunted him in the quiet hours. His last meeting had been particularly grating. The acquisition of a promising AI startup was nearly a done deal when one of the older investors had posed the question, "Aren't you too young to lead a merger of this scale?" The question, though politely phrased, was laced with the same skepticism he'd fought since launching his first company at 23. Ryan adjusted the car's climate control, his fingers drumming on the leather-wrapped steering wheel as an unwelcome memory pulled him back 25 years. He was 7, sitting in a cold, sterile waiting room at social services, his legs swinging, too short to reach the floor. The smell of cheap disinfectant was still etched in his memory, as was the incessant rattle of a broken fan in the corner. "You're lucky, Michael," the social worker had said, adjusting her thick-framed glasses as she shuffled a stack of papers. "The Chens want to give you a permanent home." Lucky. That's what everyone had called it. But he could never shake the thoughts of the family he never knew. The Carters, of course, were wonderful. John Carter, a university math professor, and Mary Carter, a pediatrician, gave him far more than just a roof over his head. They gave him love, education, and opportunity. They were the ones who saw his gift for numbers and code, who encouraged his curiosity, and celebrated every success as if it were their own. But still, even with all the love and the triumphs, there were moments like this, alone on a snowy highway, when the questions surfaced. Who were his biological parents? Did he have siblings out there somewhere? Why was he given up? A flicker of movement at the edge of the road yanked Ryan from his reverie. At first, it looked like a trick of the swirling snow, but his eyes, trained for detail, the same eyes that helped him build a tech empire, knew better. There was something or someone out there. He slowed the vehicle, the heavy-duty snow tires gripping the icy pavement. What he saw made his heart seize. A small child, hunched over, clutching something precious, nearly swallowed by the rapidly accumulating snow. "Oh my God," Ryan murmured, bringing the Escalade to a halt, its hazard lights pulsing against the whiteout. The biting wind hit him the moment he opened the door, a stark reminder that he was only wearing his $3,000 bespoke suit from Beverly Hills. It didn't matter. His steps were fast and sure as he crunched through the snow toward the tiny figure, his Italian leather shoes utterly unsuited for the conditions. "Hey, are you okay?" he called out, consciously softening his voice to avoid startling the child. Years of commanding boardrooms had taught him the power of tone. Right now, he was aiming for gentle, not authoritative. The little girl lifted her face, and Ryan felt as if he'd been sucker-punched. Wide, terrified eyes stared back at him, her small face chapped and red from the cold, her lips nearly blue and trembling uncontrollably. But what truly floored him were the 2 swaddled bundles she clutched protectively to her chest. "Please," she whispered, her voice as fragile as a falling snowflake. "Don't separate us." Ryan dropped to his knees in the snow, ignoring the cold seeping through his expensive trousers and the wind whipping his normally perfect hair. Now he could see them clearly. She was holding babies, newborns by the look of them, wrapped in blankets that were woefully inadequate for the storm. "No one's going to separate you," he replied automatically, shrugging off his heavy cashmere coat and wrapping it around the girl and the infants. "I promise." The promise escaped his lips before he could process it, driven by an instinct that went beyond reason, perhaps by the look in the girl's eyes, which mirrored the same fear and defiance he had so often seen in his own reflection as a child. It was the look of someone who had already lost too much. "What's your name?" he asked softly, while his mind, informed by countless visits to the hospital where his adoptive mother worked, did a quick visual check of the baby's vitals. To his relief, they seemed okay, shielded by the warmth of their sister's body. "Lily," she answered, her teeth chattering. "And these are my little brothers." "Lily?" Ryan repeated, trying to project all the calm and safety he could muster. "I'm Ryan. You're all freezing, and these babies need to be warm. My car is right there. It's heated." He saw a flash of fear in her eyes, the ingrained distrust of a child who had learned the hard way. It was a look he knew intimately, the one he'd seen in the mirror every morning during his first months with the Carters. "There's food, too," he added quickly, remembering the dinner he'd had to cancel. Gourmet sandwiches and a thermos of hot chocolate his personal chef had packed for his late work night. Sandwiches. Hot chocolate. The mention of food made Lily's stomach growl audibly, but she still hesitated, her arms tightening around the babies. You won't call the orphanage?" The word foster home struck Ryan like a physical jolt, sparking memories he kept buried deep. The disinfectant smell, the sound of other children crying at night, the constant fear of being moved again. Or worse, separated from the few friends he'd made. How many times had he felt that same terror? "I won't do anything you don't want me to do," he replied, surprised by his own sincerity. In his corporate world, every word was a calculation, every promise weighed in terms of risk and benefit. But here, in the snow, facing this small, fierce child, all his usual defenses felt pointless. "But first, we need to get you all out of this cold. We can talk in the car, okay?" Lily studied his face for another long moment before giving a slight, hesitant nod. Ryan resisted the urge to scoop her up. Some instinct told him she needed to feel in control, to keep her brothers in her own arms. Instead, he rose slowly and walked beside her to the Escalade, ready to catch her if her legs failed. The heated interior of the truck was an oasis in the frozen wasteland. Ryan cranked the heat to max and, moving slowly so as not to spook her, reached into the compartment where he kept the sandwiches. The aroma of fresh bread and smoked turkey filled the car, and he saw Lily's eyes widen. "Can you hold both while you eat?" he asked gently, noticing the way her arms were trembling. Lily nodded, but it was clear her small arms were at their limit after carrying the twins for so long. Ryan knew he had to earn her trust piece by piece. "Can I hold one of them while you eat? I promise I won't hurt him." Her hesitation was palpable, her gaze darting between the sandwich and the babies. Finally, hunger and exhaustion won. With infinite care, she allowed Ryan to take one of the infants. The moment the tiny, warm bundle settled into his arms felt surreal. Ryan Carter, a man used to handling cutting-edge tech and closing billion-dollar deals, was now holding something infinitely more precious and fragile. The baby stirred in his sleep, and a strange, powerful wave of protectiveness washed over him. "They're twins," Lily said between bites of the sandwich, her eyes never leaving the baby in Ryan's arms. "They were born 2 weeks ago." "And you were at the orphanage?" Ryan asked softly, adjusting the blanket around the baby. Lily swallowed hard, tears welling in her eyes. "They were going to separate us tomorrow. I heard Mrs. Peterson talking. They were sending them to different homes." Her voice broke, and she paused her eating for a moment. "I promised my mommy I'd take care of them, promised I wouldn't let anyone separate us." Ryan felt something crack open inside him. At work, he was famous for his cool-headedness, his ability to dissect complex problems with detached clarity. But faced with this child's solemn promise, he felt both helpless and fiercely determined. "Lily," he began, choosing his words with care, "you and the babies need medical attention. A doctor needs to check on them, and on you." Panic immediately flooded her eyes. "No, they'll call the orphanage." "There's a very nice hotel a few miles from here," Ryan said, an idea solidifying in his mind. The Deer Valley Resort was a discreet, high-end place he often used for confidential meetings. "I know the owner. We can go there, have a private doctor come examine you, and then we can figure out what to do next. No foster home, no separation, just to make sure you're all okay. All right?" Lily bit her lip, looking from the baby in her arms to the one Ryan was holding. Exhaustion was clearly winning, but fear still lingered in her eyes. "Do you promise? Promise you won't separate us?" Ryan met her gaze, remembering all the promises adults had made to him as a child, some kept, others broken. But something about this girl, this situation, made him want to be different. "I promise, Lily, and I always keep my promises." As he drove carefully through the snowy night toward the resort, Ryan split his attention between the road and the rearview mirror, where he could see Lily finally succumbing to exhaustion, her eyes fluttering shut, even as she protectively held one of the twins. His phone buzzed relentlessly in the center console, dozens of unread notifications, meeting reminders, pending decisions. Ashley, his executive assistant, was probably having a meltdown over his sudden digital silence. Ryan Carter, the CEO, should have been focused on his tech empire, on his corporate duties. But in that moment, driving through the night with 3 children in his car, he was just Ryan, the boy who once also needed someone to keep their promises. And as the snowflakes continued to fall, he made another silent vow. He would do everything in his power to keep these 3 children together and safe. With one hand on the wheel, he grabbed his phone and fired off a text to Dr. Robert Wilson, an old friend of his adoptive mother, who now ran a private practice for clients who valued discretion. "I need you at the Deer Valley Resort in 1-hour medical emergency, maximum discretion required." The reply was almost immediate. "On my way." Next, he typed another message, this time to the hotel manager. "Prepare the presidential suite. Immediately need absolute privacy. 3 special guests, a child and 2 babies, children's clothes, diapers, baby formula, everything top quality urgent. It will be arranged immediately, Mr. Chen." Ryan glanced in the rearview mirror again. Lily had finally fallen asleep, her small hand still clutching the blanket that covered her brother. On the seat beside him, the other twin also slept soundly in the makeshift cradle of his arms. The snow continued to fall, but inside the car, it was warm and safe. Ryan thought of all the monumental decisions he'd made in his life. Dropping out of college to start his first company, betting everything on a new technology when everyone said he was crazy, executing billion-dollar acquisitions that reshaped the market. But none of them felt as consequential as the decision he was making right now. The lights of the Deer Valley Resort began to glimmer in the distance, a beacon in the dark, snowy night. Ryan could already picture the next steps. Dr. Wilson discreetly examining the children, rooms prepared with every comfort, new warm clothes, proper food for everyone. But beyond that, for the first time in years, Ryan Carter, the man who planned every move with calculated precision, was improvising. And as he steered the Escalade toward the hotel entrance where the manager waited with his most trusted staff, Ryan realized he didn't mind the uncertainty. These 3 children needed him, right now, and he would be there for them no matter what it took. "Welcome to the Grand Alpine," he whispered to his 3 sleeping passengers, a soft smile touching his lips as he parked. "I think our lives are about to change forever." The morning sun filtered through the silk drapes of the Deer Valley Resort's presidential suite, casting golden patterns on the plush carpet. Lily, sitting in an armchair far too big for her, watched in awe as the twins slept peacefully in 2 bassinets that had been delivered during the night. After the medical exam, when Dr. Wilson had assured them everyone was fine, just in need of rest and good nutrition, Lily had finally allowed herself to relax. The warm bath, the new, soft clothes, and the most comfortable bed she had ever slept in made her feel like she'd walked into a fairy tale. Ryan, who had taken the connecting suite, entered the room quietly, carrying a breakfast tray. The scent of pancakes, eggs, and hot chocolate made Lily's stomach rumble. "Good morning," he smiled, placing the tray on a nearby table. "Did you sleep well?" Lily nodded, still a bit shy, but the raw fear from the night before was gone. "The baby slept all night," she reported with pride. "They only woke up to eat." Ryan sat in a chair opposite her, watching as she devoured the pancakes. It was hard to process that, less than 24 hours ago, he'd found her nearly frozen on the side of a highway. "Lily," he began gently, "do you feel ready to tell me more about how you ended up on that road?" The girl put down her fork, her eyes instantly becoming more serious. It was remarkable how a 5-year-old could look so grown up. "We were at St. Catherine's Orphanage," she started, her small voice steady. "Mommy left us there a month ago. She cried a lot, said it was for our own good, that she would come back when she could." Lily paused, playing with a piece of pancake on her plate. Ryan waited patiently, understanding that some stories need their own time to unfold. "Last night I heard Mrs. Peterson on the phone. She was saying she found different families for the twins, that they would pick them up this morning." Tears started to form in her eyes again. "I couldn't let that happen. Mr. Michael Mommy made me promise to keep us together, no matter what." Ryan leaned forward, offering a napkin for her to dry her tears. "You were very brave, Lily, and very, very smart, too. How did you manage to leave with the babies?" A small, proud smile touched her lips. "I always paid attention to everything I knew. The kitchen door stayed unlocked because Mrs. Mary the cook went outside to smoke at night. I waited for everyone to sleep, and—" While Lily recounted her story, Ryan discreetly activated the voice recorder on his phone. Every detail could be crucial. Across town, in a sleek high-rise office, Ashley Rodriguez was already processing Ryan's instructions over the phone. "I want everything Sarah Orphanage records the kids' history information about the mother, anything you can find. I needed it yesterday." Ashley smiled, her fingers already flying across her keyboard. It wasn't the first time her boss had asked for the impossible, but it was the first time she'd heard him so personally invested. "I've already started, Mr. Chen. I have some contacts at social services who can help. Having the orphanage name helps a lot. I'll focus first on the intake records from the last 2 months." "Excellent, and Sarah, maximum discretion. No one can know we're investigating this." "As always, sir." Back at the hotel, Ryan watched Lily playing with the twins. She had created a little puppet show with some teddy bears provided by the hotel staff, narrating an elaborate tale for the babies who, though too young to understand, seemed captivated by her voice. And then the older teddy bear promised Daddy Bear he would take care of his little bear siblings forever and ever, she narrated, changing her voice for each character. Ryan felt a pang in his chest. How could such a young child shoulder so much responsibility? His phone vibrated. A message from Ashley. Initial results coming in found the intake records Emily Watson, age 5, and twins Lucas and Liam Watson admitted 32 days ago. Mother Jessica Watson, 28 years old, father not listed. Ryan read the message several times. They finally had a name, Sarah Thompson. But where was she? Why had she left her children? Ashley soon sent another message. "Something's off here. Mr. Chen's standard procedures weren't followed. Usually babies so young wouldn't be accepted without full documentation. And there are inconsistencies in the social worker visit logs." "Keep digging," he replied. "I want to know everything about that orphanage." A soft cry interrupted his thoughts. One of the twins had woken up. Before Ryan could even move, Lily was there, scooping up the baby with a gentleness that was astonishing for someone so small. "This is Lucas," she said confidently. Ryan still couldn't tell them apart, but Lily never wavered. "He always wakes up first. Liam sleeps more." "How do you know so much about them?" Lily's face grew serious again. "Mommy taught me everything before she left. She showed me how to hold them right, how to know when they're hungry or sleepy." Lily trailed off, her gaze becoming distant. Ryan recognized that look. It was the same one he had when thinking about his own murky past. "Do you want to tell me about your mom?" he asked gently. Lily shifted Ethan in her arms before answering. "She's pretty. She has hair like mine, only longer, and she sang to us every night." Her voice faltered. She was always sad, but she tried to smile for me. She only cried after she thought I was asleep. Ryan felt his heart clench. There was more to this story than a mother simply abandoning her children. His phone vibrated again. More messages from Ashley. Found police records. Jessica Watson filed several domestic violence reports over the years, all withdrawn. Afterward, husbands still searching the records are deliberately incomplete. Someone tried to erase info, but I'm following a lead. Ryan looked at Lily, who was now softly humming the same lullaby he'd heard her sing on the road, a song likely learned from her mother. "Lily," he called gently, "do you remember the last day you saw your mom?" The girl continued to rock Ethan for a moment before replying. "It was raining. Mommy was different, more scared than usual. She packed our things in a backpack, kissed me, and said it was just for a little while, that she'd be back soon." Flashback, 32 days ago. Rain hammered against the windows of the small apartment. Lily sat on her bed, watching her mother frantically shove clothes into an old backpack. "Sweetie, I need you to be very brave right now," Sarah said, her hands trembling as she folded a small pajama set. "You're going to stay in a safe place for a little while, just until Mommy settles some things." "But I want to stay with you, Mommy," Lily whimpered, clutching her favorite teddy bear. Sarah stopped what she was doing and knelt in front of her daughter. Her eyes were red, but she forced a smile. "Emily, my love, you're the big sister now. I need you to promise me something very important." Lily nodded solemnly, sensing the gravity of the moment. "Promise you'll take care of your little brothers, that you won't let anyone separate you, no matter what happens." "I promise, Mommy." Sarah hugged her daughter tightly, and Lily felt tears soaking into her hair. "You're so strong, my little one, so strong and so brave." Present. And then she took us to the orphanage. Lily finished her story, with Ethan now sleeping peacefully in her arms. She kissed each of us and left in the rain. Ryan processed every word, every detail. His phone vibrated once more. Urgent found a pattern of bribes at the orphanage. Someone was paying to have certain children sent to specific addresses. The twins were on the list for tomorrow. Ryan felt a chill. What exactly had they stumbled into? "Mr. Michael," Lily's voice brought him back to the present. "Do you think Mommy will come back?" He looked at this small girl, so strong and so fragile, and vowed to himself that he would find the truth, no matter the cost. "Lily, I'll tell you a secret," he said, moving to sit beside her. "When I was little, about your age, I was alone for a while too, but I found people who took care of me, who loved me, and protected me." Lily looked at him with wide eyes. "Like you're doing for us?" "Exactly," he smiled, feeling an unexpected lump in his throat. "And I promise I'll do everything I can to help you and your brothers. We'll find where your mom is and figure out why she had to leave. Pinky promise." Lily held up her free pinky. Ryan linked his finger with hers, feeling the weight of the simple but profound promise. Pinky promise. At that moment, Owen began to cry in the other bassinet, as if not wanting to be left out. Lily laughed, a pure, crystalline sound that filled the room with joy. "See, I told you Liam slept more." Ryan stood up to get Owen, surprised at how natural it already felt to care for these babies. His phone vibrated again, but he decided it could wait. Now was the time to be present, to simply be family. Across town, Ashley Rodriguez continued her tireless investigation, her fingers flying over the keyboard as connections formed. Somewhere, Sarah Thompson was hiding, trying to protect her children from a danger only she fully understood. And Ryan Carter, the billionaire who built an empire on technology and innovation, discovered that his greatest challenge, and perhaps his greatest reward, would be helping to rebuild a broken family, starting with a pinky promise made to a brave little girl on a sunny morning at the Deer Valley Resort. The glow from a bank of monitors was the only light in Ryan Carter's office when Ashley Rodriguez entered, carrying a thick binder. It was nearly midnight, but the past 72 hours had effectively erased any normal sense of a work schedule. Ever since Ryan had rescued the children from that frozen highway, every minute was a precious commodity in the race to understand and protect the family that had unexpectedly fallen into his life. "The police reports came in," Ashley announced, her usually composed voice tinged with a slight tremor. In 15 years as a private investigator, few cases had affected her this much. Ryan looked up from the screen where he was analyzing the financial records of the Hopewell foster home. The dark circles under his eyes spoke of sleepless nights, torn between comforting Lily during her nightmares and coordinating an increasingly complex investigation. "What did you find?" he asked, though his expression suggested he was bracing for the worst. Ashley hesitated for a moment before opening the binder on the table. Photos, police reports, and hospital records spilled out like pieces of a disturbing jigsaw puzzle. The images made his stomach churn. Sarah Thompson appeared in several photos with bruises, cuts, and other signs of systematic violence. Between January 2019 and December 2023, there were 17 official cases of domestic violence. Ashley began, her voice taking on a professional tone that barely masked her outrage. All involving Robert Kane, Jessica's husband, and absolutely all, were later withdrawn. Ryan picked up one of the photos, his fingers clenching the paper. Sarah Thompson had the same wide, expressive eyes as Lily, though in the photo they were partially swollen from a fresh bruise. Why did she keep withdrawing the charges? "It's a classic pattern in domestic abuse cases," Ashley explained, pulling more documents from the folder. "Threats, financial dependency, psychological manipulation, but in Kane's case, it goes further." She spread more papers on the table. "He has powerful connections within the local police. Several of these complaints simply vanished from the official records. If I didn't have contacts in the police internal affairs department, we wouldn't have half of this." Ryan's phone rang, interrupting the grim analysis. It was Betty, the night nanny he'd hired. "Mr. Chen," her voice was tense. "Emily's having another nightmare, a bad one. She's calling for you." Ryan was already on his feet before the call ended. "Keep investigating Sarah. I want every detail about this man, where he grew up, where he studied, every traffic ticket, every overdue bill. People like him always leave a trail." "And about your own adoption records?" Ashley asked, referring to a request Ryan had made days earlier. "Should I keep pursuing that lead as well?" Ryan paused in the doorway, a thoughtful expression on his face. "Yes, I can't explain it, but ever since I found these children, I feel there's something bigger going on. Keep looking." At the hotel, Lily's screams were audible as soon as Ryan stepped out of the elevator. His heart clenched. It was the worst one yet. "No, Daddy, stop, Mommy, no." Her voice was pure terror. Ryan entered the suite just in time to see Lily thrashing in bed, tears streaming down her face, while Betty tried unsuccessfully to soothe her. "Emily, sweetheart, wake up," he called softly, sitting on the edge of the bed. "It's just a bad dream. You're safe." Her eyes flew open, disoriented, and filled with fear for a moment before they focused on Ryan. Instantly, she launched herself into his arms, sobbing violently. He was hurting Mommy again. She whimpered against his chest. Just like that night, there was so much blood. Ryan held her protectively, gesturing for Betty to check on the twins, who were miraculously still asleep. His heart ached, imagining what this child had witnessed. "Do you want to tell me about the dream?" he asked gently, stroking her hair. Lily clung to him tighter, as if afraid he might disappear. "It was just like that night Daddy came home yelling, breaking everything. It smelled like alcohol. Mommy told me to hide in the closet with the babies, but I could hear everything." She sniffled, her voice growing smaller. "He kept yelling that he would find us, no matter where Mommy hid us." A surge of cold anger rose in Ryan's chest, but he kept his voice calm. "Emily, look at me." He waited until her frightened eyes met his. "Your dad will never hurt you, your brothers or your mom again. Do you know why?" Lily shook her head. "Because now you have me, and I promise I'll protect you no matter what." "But you don't know my daddy," Lily whispered, the fear raw in her voice. "He's really strong and really mean." "And I'm really powerful," Ryan replied with a small smile, "more than he'll ever be." One of the twins, Ethan, Ryan suspected, started to whimper in the bassinet. Lily immediately tried to get up, but Ryan gently held her back. "Let me take care of him now," he said. "You need someone to take care of you, too. You know." Lily looked at him confused. Ryan smiled softly. "Emily," he began, choosing his words carefully, "there's someone very special I want you to meet tomorrow. Dr. Sophia, she helps kids understand their feelings and their bad dreams. She's a doctor, a special kind of doctor. She helps us feel better up here." He lightly touched her forehead, and here he touched her heart. Lily considered the idea, biting her lower lip in a way that reminded Ryan of her mother in the photo. "Will you stay with me the whole time, if you want?" While calming Ethan, Ryan watched Lily finally relax a little. Betty had brought a cup of warm milk with honey, a technique that had been working well. "Mr. Michael," Lily called after a few sips, her voice already drowsy. "Yes? Why are some people bad? Why couldn't my daddy be good like you?" The question hit Ryan like a gut punch. How do you explain the complexities of evil to a 5-year-old? "Some people," he began carefully, "carry so much anger and pain inside that they end up hurting those around them that has nothing to do with you or your brothers or your mom. Your dad's cruelty is his own problem, not yours." Lily seemed to process this as she finished her milk. "But Mommy always said it was her fault when he got mad." "Your mom was wrong," Ryan said firmly. "Nothing your dad did is her fault or yours, your victim's not to blame." After Lily finally drifted back to sleep, Ryan found Ashley in the suite's living room, surrounded by laptops and documents, working tirelessly. "How is she?" Ashley asked without looking up. "The nightmares are getting worse," Ryan replied, pouring himself a cup of coffee that had likely gone cold. "But Dr. Sophia starts tomorrow. She's the best child therapist in the city." "Sir," Ashley said, her tone shifting, "I found something about Jessica." Ryan quickly moved to the table. "What is it?" "I managed to track her. She's living under the name Jennifer Williams in a small town called Pine Grove, about 3 hours from here. She works as a waitress at a local diner called the Bluebird Diner." Ryan picked up the photo Ashley had obtained from a security camera. Sarah, now Jennifer, wore a light blue uniform, her hair in a ponytail. She looked exhausted, but her eyes, Lily's eyes, still held that characteristic determination. "There's more," Ashley continued, her voice tense. "Robert Ken was seen in Pine Grove 3 days ago." Ryan felt his blood run cold. "Did he find her?" "We're not sure, but we discovered something disturbing about the orphanage." Ashley pulled up more files on her laptop. "Kane has been making regular calls to St. Catherine's in the last few months, and those families who were supposed to adopt the twins, they're fake. Everything indicates he was behind the plan to separate them. He was going to use the babies to force Jessica to come back." Michael concluded, Ryan finished, anger lacing his voice. "Exactly, and from what we found in the orphanages, financial records, this isn't the first time they've been involved in such schemes." Ryan began pacing the room, his mind racing. "Increase security at the hotel. I want the best guards at 24/7, no one in or out without express permission." He paused, looking out the window at the city lights. "And prepare a complete dossier on Kane, every detail of his life, every weakness we can exploit." "I'm already on it," Ashley nodded. "What about Jessica? I'm going to find her tomorrow." "And Emily? Are we going to tell her?" Almost as if in answer, a small sound came from the bedroom door. Lily stood there in her unicorn pajamas, hugging her teddy bear. You found Mommy?" Her voice was small, filled with a fragile mix of hope and fear. Ryan approached her, kneeling to meet her gaze. "Yes, sweetheart, we found your mom. She's safe in a place your dad can't find her." Lily bit her lip, a clear battle of emotions playing out on her small face. Does she want to see us?" "I'm going to find out," Ryan promised. "I'm going to see her tomorrow. Can I go too?" Ryan exchanged a look with Ashley before answering. "I think it's better if I go first alone. I need to make sure it's safe and that your dad isn't around. Is that okay?" Lily nodded slowly, but worry clouded her eyes. "Mr. Michael, what if she doesn't want us anymore?" Ryan felt his heart break. He pulled Lily into a tight hug, trying to convey all the reassurance he could. "Emily, listen carefully. Your mom loves you and your brothers more than anything. She only left to protect you." And now he pulled back a bit to look into her eyes. "Now you have me too. No matter what happens, you'll never be alone again." The next morning, as Ryan prepared to drive to Willow Creek, Lily surprised him with a drawing. "It's for you to give to Mommy," she explained, showing him the paper where she had drawn 5 stick figures: herself, the twins, Sarah, and surprisingly, Ryan. "It's our family," she said simply, making Ryan's heart skip a beat. He carefully placed the drawing in his jacket, close to his heart, feeling the weight of the responsibility he had undertaken. His phone rang. It was Dr. Bennett after Lily's first session. "Mr. Chen, Emily is an incredibly resilient child, but she carries significant trauma. She'll need consistent support and a lot of love to process everything she's been through. She'll have all the support she needs," Ryan assured her. "How is she now?" "Playing with her brothers, she has an extraordinary bond with the twins, but Mr. Chen," the doctor hesitated. "Emily told me about her worries regarding the meeting with her mother. She's afraid her mom might think she wasn't strong enough because she ran away from the orphanage." Ryan frowned, but she was incredibly brave. Yes, but in the mind of a 5-year-old, running away might seem like a failure, not a show of courage. She needs to hear from her mother that she did the right thing. As he drove down the highway toward Willow Creek, Ryan received constant updates from his security team. Miller had been spotted in town, but his current whereabouts were unknown. The man was like a ghost, appearing and disappearing without a trace. Ashley had assembled a complete profile on him, a dishonorably discharged ex-military man with a history of violence dating back to his teens, connections to corrupt local officials and petty criminals. A predator hiding behind a facade of respectability, using his connections to stay one step ahead of the law. But this time he messed with the wrong victim, Ryan muttered to himself, gripping the steering wheel. Miller might have influence with some corrupt local cops, but Ryan Carter had the power of one of the world's largest tech companies at his disposal, and he was ready to use every penny and every resource to protect Sarah and her kids. The afternoon sun was beginning to set when he saw the sign, "Welcome to Willow Creek, population 12,347. The small town looked like something from a postcard, with tree-lined streets and well-kept Victorian houses, the kind of place where you wouldn't expect such intense drama to unfold. His phone rang one last time. Ashley again. "The Bluebird Diner is at the corner of Main Street and Cedar Avenue. Jessica, or rather Jennifer, starts her shift in an hour, and Sir, our men confirmed Kane was at the Mountain View Hotel 2 days ago, but he left town this morning for now. It seems safe." "Maintain surveillance," Ryan instructed. "And Sarah, thank you for everything." Parking his Escalade. A discreet distance from the diner, Ryan took Lily's drawing out of his jacket. 5 stick figures, a family brought together by fate, and the courage of a 5-year-old girl. "It's time," he said to himself, sliding the drawing back into his pocket. In a few hours, he would be face to face with Sarah Thompson, the woman who had risked everything to protect her children. What would she say when she learned her eldest daughter had inherited her same courage and determination? Ryan couldn't explain the inexplicable connection he felt to this family, the almost magnetic pull that led him to stop on that icy road days ago. But as he walked toward Mom's diner, one thing he knew for sure. His life would never be the same after this meeting. The bell above the door of Mom's diner jingled as Ryan entered, the aroma of fresh coffee and apple pie filling the air. It was a classic small-town joint, red vinyl stools at the counter, formica tables, and an old jukebox playing softly in the corner. At this time of day, only a few patrons dotted the tables, mostly older folks nursing their coffee. Ryan chose a booth with a view of the kitchen and the counter, his heart beating faster than usual. Ashley had confirmed that Sarah, now Jennifer, was due to start her shift any minute. He discreetly adjusted the small earpiece, connecting him to his security team stationed around the town. "Perimeter secure, Mr. Carter," his head of security, Johnson, said clearly in his ear. "No sign of Miller in the last 24 hours. An older waitress approached, her name tag reading Betty. "What'll it be, hun?" "Just coffee for now," Ryan replied with a polite smile. "And Jennifer is working today?" Betty's smile faltered for a fraction of a second. "Jen?" "Yeah, she should be in any minute. Do you two know each other?" Before Ryan could answer, the diner's back door swung open, and Sarah Thompson walked in, tying on her blue apron. Even in her disguise, darker hair, thick-framed glasses she clearly didn't need, she was unmistakable. Those were Lily's eyes. That was the same way she bit her lower lip when she was worried. "Betty, sorry I'm late. The bus?" Sarah froze mid-sentence when she saw Ryan. The look in her eyes shifted instantly. Fear, recognition, panic. She knew Frank Miller too well not to sense when someone didn't belong, and the man in the impeccable suit screamed that he didn't belong here. "Jennifer," Betty called out, "can you take table 3? I need to check on the pies." For a moment, Ryan thought Sarah might bolt. He saw the muscles in her neck tighten, her hands gripping her small order pad. But then she straightened her shoulders, the same determined gesture he'd seen Lily make, and walked toward his table. "Good afternoon, sir. What can I get you?" Her voice was controlled, professional, but her hands were trembling. "Actually," Ryan said softly, "I came because of Emily." The pen slipped from Sarah's fingers, clattering on the floor with a sound that seemed deafening in the sudden silence between them. Her face went white. "I don't know what you're talking about," she whispered, bending to retrieve the pen. "You must have me confused with someone else." "Emily Lucas and Liam are safe," Ryan continued in the same gentle tone. "I found them 5 days ago on a frozen road. Emily had run away from the orphanage with the twins when she found out they were going to be separated." Sarah staggered slightly, her hand reaching for the back of a nearby chair for support. "If Robert sent you," she began, her voice shaking. "I have nothing to do with your ex-husband," Ryan interrupted firmly. "In fact, I have people watching him right now to make sure he doesn't get near you." Sarah studied him for a long, hard moment, years of abuse having taught her to be wary of any offer of help. "Who are you?" "Michael Chen." "I'm the CEO of Chen Technologies." He paused, seeing the flicker of recognition on her face. "And for the past 5 days, I've been a sort of guardian to your children." "My children," Sarah repeated, the words sounding physically painful. They're okay?" "They're safe and well cared for," Ryan assured her. "Emily is an amazing girl, so brave and devoted to her brothers. The twins are getting stronger, though Lucas still wakes up earlier than Liam." A single tear escaped from behind Sarah's fake glasses. You really know them?" "Jennifer," Betty's voice called from the kitchen. "The customers at table 6 are waiting." Sarah straightened up quickly, wiping her face. "I have to work. I can't." "My car is parked out back," Ryan said quickly. "As soon as your shift ends, please, Emily made a drawing for you." The mention of the drawing seemed to hit Sarah like a physical blow. She gave a nearly imperceptible nod before turning away to wait on other tables. For the next 4 hours, Ryan sat in the diner, occasionally ordering more coffee and a slice of the famous apple pie, watching Sarah work. There was a quiet dignity in her movements as she refilled cups and chatted with regulars, carrying the immense weight of her pain without letting it show. Finally, at 8 p.m., her shift ended. Ryan waited for her in the car as they had agreed. When she emerged, she had changed out of her uniform into jeans and a simple sweater, her hair loose around a face that looked far too young to be etched with so much worry. "Can we go for a drive?" Ryan suggested. "There's a park nearby. It's public, well lit." Sarah nodded, getting into the car but keeping herself pressed against the door. Ryan respected her need for space, driving in silence to the small municipal park. They sat on a bench overlooking an empty playground, the streetlights casting long shadows on the grass. For a few moments, neither of them spoke. "How did you find them?" Sarah finally asked, her voice barely a whisper. Ryan recounted the night on the highway, telling her about Lily protecting her brothers from the cold, about the courage she showed in trusting him. As he spoke, he watched a storm of emotions play across Sarah's face. Pride, pain, love, guilt. "She's always been like that," Sarah said when Ryan finished. "So strong, so protective, even at such a young age." Her voice broke. "I never wanted to abandon them. You have to believe me, I had no choice." "What happened, Jessica?" She flinched at her real name, glancing around nervously before starting to speak. Robert wasn't always like this in the beginning. He was charming, attentive, but after he lost his military job, he started drinking. And then? She took a deep breath, her hands twisting together in her lap. "The first time he hit me, I was pregnant with Emily. I apologized for burning dinner." Ryan felt his stomach turn. "It wasn't your fault. I know that now, but back then he was so good at making me believe I deserved it that it was my fault that I provoked him." Sarah wiped away a tear. "I ran away 3 times before the twins were born. He always found me, his connections in the police and his friends, no matter where I went, he always tracked me down." Flashback, 6 months ago. The sound of shattering glass woke Lily in the middle of the night. Sarah, who was nursing Owen, froze as she heard Frank's heavy footsteps in the living room. "Where are you, you witch?" His voice was thick with alcohol. "You think you can make a fool of me? I saw you talking to that social worker today." Sarah moved fast, placing Owen in the bassinet next to his sleeping brother. "Emily," she whispered urgently, "remember our special plan. It's time, sweetie, grab your backpack and go to the closet." Lily, only 5 but already trained for these moments, grabbed her small emergency backpack and ran to the hall closet. Sarah quickly placed the twins in a padded laundry basket she had prepared weeks ago and handed it to Lily. "No matter what you hear, don't come out until I call, okay?" Sarah kissed her daughter's forehead. "I love you. Take care of your brothers." The bedroom door burst open before Sarah could reach the closet. Frank stood there, his eyes bloodshot with rage. "Found you. Present." "He almost killed me that night," Sarah continued, her voice distant. "If the neighbors hadn't called the police, but even then, with all the evidence he got out the next day, his connections always, his connections." "That's when you decided to leave the kids at the foster home," Ryan said softly. Sarah nodded, tears now streaming freely down her face. "He swore he'd make me pay, that he'd take the kids from me, hurt them to punish me. I couldn't risk it. The orphanage seemed like the only safe option while I tried to disappear, make him follow me, and leave the kids alone. But he found out where they were." "He always finds out," Sarah said bitterly. "I heard him was planning something with the orphanage, that he'd use thugs to get the twins, but I couldn't find out when I was going to go back. Try to get them out before—" "Emily saved them," Ryan said gently. "She's extraordinary, Jessica, strong, just like her mom." Sarah broke down, covering her face with her hands. Ryan pulled Lily's drawing from his jacket pocket and offered it to her. "She made this for you this morning." With trembling hands, Sarah took the paper. When she saw the 5 stick figures, herself, her 3 children, and Ryan, she began to cry even harder. "She included me," she sobbed, "after everything I did after leaving them." "You didn't abandon them," Ryan said firmly. "You protected them in the only way you could, but now you're not alone in this fight." Sarah lifted her eyes, studying Ryan's face. Why are you doing all this for us?" Ryan thought for a moment, feeling that inexplicable pull he'd felt from the very first moment. "Because when I found Emily on that road, I saw something in her that reminded me of myself, the determination to protect family, even when the whole world seems against you." He paused. "I was adopted as a child. I never knew my biological family. Maybe that's why." "Do you want to see them?" Sarah interrupted gently. "Your kids? I can show you pictures. They're not babies in pictures anymore," Ryan warned softly. "The twins have grown a lot this past month." Sarah nodded, her hands shaking as she pulled out her old cracked phone. Ryan noticed the scratches on the screen, likely a memento from a violent encounter with Frank. As she swiped through the recent photos Ryan had taken, her sobs subsided, replaced by small gasps of surprise and joy. "Luca still has that little swirl in his hair," she noted, smiling through her tears. "And Liam, he looks so strong now." Hamisha, her voice failed at the photo of her oldest daughter playing with the twins. "She looks so happy." "She is very loved," Ryan assured her, "but she misses you a lot. She has nightmares almost every night." Sarah closed her eyes tightly. "I want to see them, God. I want to see them so badly." "But Robert is being monitored." "Around the clock," Ryan interrupted. "I have the best loyal ERS preparing cases against him, private investigators, gathering evidence of all his illegal activities. He's never going to hurt you again. Jessica, not ever." "You don't know Robert," Sarah said, fear lacing her voice. "He has powerful people protecting him, politicians, judges." "And I have more power and resources than all of them combined," Ryan replied with calm conviction. "Your daughter told me something similar, that her dad was really strong and mean." "You know what I told her?" Sarah shook her head. "That I'm far more powerful than he'll ever be. And it's true. Jessica Robert Kane might have connections in a small town, might have a few corrupt cops and politicians in his pocket. But I run one of the biggest tech companies in the world. I have virtually unlimited resources, and more importantly, the law on my side." "Why?" Sarah asked again, her voice breaking. "Why do you care so much?" Ryan looked up at the starry sky for a moment before answering. "Sometimes the universe puts certain people in our path for a reason. When I found Emily on that road, holding her brothers in the cold, something inside me just knew I had to protect them, that they mattered." He smiled softly. "And now that I've met you, I'm certain I made the right choice that night." Sarah looked down at Lily's drawing in her hands, her fingers tracing the stick figures. "When can I see them?" she finally asked, her voice filled with hope and fear. "Tomorrow," Ryan answered without hesitation. "I have a secure hotel with private security 24/7. I can send a car for you after your shift." "And Robert?" "My men confirm he left town this morning, but even so, we'll take every precaution. You're no longer alone in this, Jessica." She nodded slowly, carefully tucking the drawing into her bag. "You know, Mr. Chair, ever since I left my kids at that orphanage, I've replayed that moment 1,000 times in my head, wondering if there was another option, if I could have done something different." She paused, wiping away a tear. "But now, seeing how fate put them in your path, maybe everything really does happen for a reason." Ryan stood, offering her a hand. "Let's take it one step at a time. First the reunion with your children, then we'll make sure Robert never comes near you again." As they walked back to the car, Sarah stopped suddenly. "Mr. Chen, thank you not just for taking care of my kids, but for giving me hope again." Ryan smiled, feeling that inexplicable connection stronger than ever. "Tomorrow at 6 in the evening, a black car will be waiting behind the diner." Watching Sarah enter her small apartment building a few minutes later, Ryan called Ashley. "Prepare everything for tomorrow. I want reinforced security up at the hotel and keep our men tracking C. We can't risk any surprises." "Yes, sir? And about your other investigation regarding your own adoption?" Ryan hesitated for a moment, that strange sense of connection to this family still resonating deep within him. "Keep looking. Sarah, something tells me there's more to this story than we can imagine." The late afternoon sun cast golden rays through the windows of the presidential suite at the Deer Valley Resort, creating patterns of light on the carpet where Lily was absent-mindedly playing with her building blocks. Though she tried to appear focused on her construction, her eyes kept darting to the door at every little noise. Ryan watched from the couch, holding Ethan while Owen slept peacefully in his bassinet. The tension in the air was almost palpable. Lily had spent the whole morning alternating between bursts of nervous energy and moments of quiet reflection. "Mr. Michael," she called for the 10th time in the past 15 minutes. "What time is it?" 5:40, he answered patiently. "She'll be here in 20 minutes. Lily put down her blocks and began fussing with her new dress, a light blue one with little butterflies chosen especially for the occasion. "What if," she began, then stopped, biting her lip just like her mother did. "What if what, sweetheart? What if she doesn't like us anymore?" Lily's voice was so quiet it was almost a whisper. Ryan gently placed Ethan in the other bassinet and approached Lily, kneeling to meet her eye to eye. "Emily, remember what we talked about with Dr. Sophia about complicated feelings?" The girl nodded. "That sometimes we can feel lots of different things at the same time, and that's okay." "Exactly. And your mom, she loves you very much. That's why she did what she did." "To protect you from Daddy," Lily added, a tremor in her voice. "Yes, and now she's coming back, because it's finally safe." Ryan's phone buzzed, a message from his security team. The car with Sarah had just pulled into the hotel's private garage. "Emily," he said softly, "she's on her way up. Are you ready?" The girl glanced at her sleeping brothers, then at her own small hands twisting nervously. "Can I hold your hand?" "Of course you can." The next few minutes felt like an eternity. Lily squeezed Ryan's hand tighter with every sound of footsteps in the hallway. Finally, there was a soft knock on the door. Ryan felt Lily freeze beside him. "Do you want me to open it?" She nodded, unable to speak. When the door opened, revealing Sarah, now without the fake glasses, her hair back to its natural color, time seemed to stand still. Mother and daughter stared at each other in a charged, silent moment. "Mommy?" Lily's voice trembled. Sarah dropped to her knees, tears already streaming down her face. "My love?" For a moment, no one moved. Then, like a dam breaking, Lily let go of Ryan's hand and ran into her mother's arms. "Mommy, Mommy, Mommy!" she repeated through sobs, her little arms clinging tightly to Sarah's neck. "Forgive me, my love," Sarah cried, covering her daughter's face with kisses. "Forgive me for leaving. I love you so much, so much." Ryan stepped back discreetly, giving them space. But then Lily suddenly pulled away from her mother's arms. "You promised," she shouted, her voice carrying a surprising anger. "You promised you'd come back soon," Pinky promised. Sarah swallowed a sob. "I know, my love. I know." "I was so scared," Lily continued, tears of anger mingling with tears of joy. "The babies cried at night, and I didn't know what to do, and Mrs. Peterson was mean, and they were going to take my brothers away." "Emily," Ryan called gently, worried about her outburst. But Sarah raised a hand, silencing him. "No, she needs this. She needs to let it out." "I had to be strong," Lily sobbed. "I had to take care of them all by myself. Why didn't you come back sooner?" "Because your dad was looking for me," Sarah answered honestly, following Dr. Bennett's advice to be open with Lily. "He wanted to hurt us, so I had to make him chase only me away from you, but I thought about you every minute, every second." A soft cry interrupted them. The twins were awake. Sarah froze upon hearing them, her eyes filling with fresh tears. "Want to meet your brothers again?" Lily asked, her anger already subsiding. She took her mother's hand, leading her to the bassinets. "Lucas always wakes up first. He's more restless. Liam is sleepier." Sarah approached the bassinets as if in a trance. The babies, now almost 2 months old, had changed so much. Can I hold them?" "Of course you can. Mommy, they're your babies." With trembling hands, Sarah picked up Ethan first. The baby, who often cried with strangers, instantly settled in her arms. "He recognizes you," Lily said in awe. "I talk to them about you every day, showed them the photo in my locket." Sarah touched the small heart-shaped pendant around Lily's neck, the last gift she had given her. "You're amazing, you know that," she said, kissing her daughter's forehead. "So strong, so brave, you took such good care of your brothers." "Mr. Michael helped take care of us too," Lily added, looking gratefully at Ryan, who stood at a respectful distance. "He saved us from the cold, gave us food and warm clothes, and promised he would find you." Sarah looked up at Ryan, her gratitude too immense for words. "Thank you," she managed to whisper. Ryan just smiled, that inexplicable connection stronger than ever. There was something about the way Sarah smiled, how her eyes shone at the sight of her children, that stirred deeply buried memories in his subconscious. Owen began to fuss in his bassinet, not wanting to miss out. "He's hungry," Lily informed her with the authority of a big sister. "It's a different cry than the sleepy one." Sarah laughed through her tears. "You really do know all their different cries." "How I had to learn," Lily replied, a shadow briefly crossing her face. But then she smiled brightly. "Want to see the room Mr. Michael made for us? It has stars on the ceiling that glow at night." As Lily showed her mother around the suite, proudly pointing out every detail, Ryan watched the transformation in Sarah. The frightened woman from the diner was slowly giving way to the mother she had always been, strong, loving, determined. The twins, now back in their mother's arms, looked calmer than Ryan had ever seen them. It was as if, even at this young age, they knew they were finally home. "Mommy," Lily asked after a while, her voice hesitant, Are you going to stay with us now?" Sarah looked at Ryan, who gave an almost imperceptible nod. "Yes, my love, I'm never leaving you again, Pinky. Promise." Lily linked her pinky with her mother's, a smile lighting up her face. "Pinky promise." Ryan discreetly wiped away a tear that threatened to fall. Seeing this family reconnecting, healing deep wounds with love and forgiveness, stirred something fundamental within him. It was as if a piece of him that had always felt incomplete was finally starting to make sense. His phone vibrated. Another message from Ashley. "Found something in the adoption records. We need to talk urgently." Ryan slipped the phone back into his pocket without replying. Whatever Ashley had discovered could wait. This moment, this sacred reunion, deserved to be experienced without interruption. "Mr. Michael," Lily's voice pulled him back. "Come see Mommy's going to sing our lullaby." Joining the family, Ryan felt a sense of peace he'd never known. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, more revelations, more battles. But in that instant, in that hotel suite turned sanctuary by a family's love, everything was exactly as it should be. Morning had barely broken when Ashley Rodriguez walked into Ryan Carter's private office at the Deer Valley Resort, her normally composed face wearing an expression he had never seen before, a mixture of shock, emotion, and apprehension. "I found it," she said simply, placing a folder on the desk. "And Michael, you need to sit down for this." Ryan, who had spent the night reviewing documents about Frank Miller, looked up. Ashley never called him by his first name, always Mr. Carter or Sir. The shift in protocol was the first sign that something extraordinary had happened. "My adoption records?" Ashley nodded, opening the folder with an almost reverent care. It was difficult. Many files were deliberately hidden, some destroyed, but I reconstructed the story through hospital records, birth certificates, and, she hesitated, records from St. Catherine's Orphanage. Ryan felt his heart skip a beat. The same foster home. It's no coincidence, Michael. None of this is coincidence. With hands that suddenly felt heavy, Ryan took the first document Ashley offered. An old, yellowed birth certificate. Marie Anderson, Ashley explained, pointing to the name. Your biological mother, she had 2 children, a boy in 1992, you and a girl in 1995. The world seemed to stop spinning. The girl? Ryan whispered, though he already knew the answer. Jessica Anderson. Later, Jessica Watson. Ashley pulled out another document. You were separated when you were 5 and she was 2. Your mother, Ashley, hesitated again. She was in a car accident, fatal. Ryan stood up abruptly, walking to the window. Outside, the sun was rising over the Utah mountains, oblivious to the emotional earthquake happening inside the room. How did we not discover this before? The records were tampered with, Ashley explained. When the children entered the foster system, someone deliberately separated. Their files changed names, dates, erased connections. It took me weeks to piece it all together. Why? Why would someone do this? I'm still investigating, but Ashley checked her notes. It seems there was an unofficial policy at the time. Siblings were often separated to increase their chances of adoption, especially when there was interest from influential families. Ryan closed his eyes, fragmented memories bubbling to the surface. A little girl with dark hair, laughing, the smell of freshly baked cookies, a lullaby. I remember her, he murmured. Not clearly, but I remember a little girl. I called her Jessie. Flashback, 30 years ago. Mickey, look. The 2-year-old girl toddled clumsily across the small yard, chasing a butterfly. Her older brother followed close behind, ever the protector. Be careful, Jessie. Don't fall. Marie Anderson watched her children from the kitchen window, a tired smile on her face. Life was hard for a single mother, but the love between her kids was her anchor. Mickey, Jessie called, lifting her arms to her brother. Sing. Michael picked up his sister just as he did every night. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Present. The song, Ryan said abruptly. Emily, she sings the same song to the twins, the same one Jessica sang last night. Ashley smiled softly. Some things run in the blood, I guess. Ryan returned to his chair, his legs suddenly weak. She's my sister. Jessica is my sister. And Emily and the twins are your niece and nephews, Ashley added gently. That's why, Ryan trailed off, the pieces of his life clicking into place, forming a picture that was at once devastating and beautiful. That's why I felt that instant connection with Emily. That's why I couldn't ignore that family on the road. It was blood calling. Do you want me to call her? Jessica is still at the hotel with the kids. Ryan nodded slowly. But first, show me everything. Every document, every detail. I need to understand our story. For the next hour, Ashley laid out her meticulous investigation. The story that emerged was heartbreaking. Marie Anderson, a young single mother struggling to raise 2 small children, the fatal car accident on a rainy night, the children suddenly orphaned, separated by a cold bureaucracy that saw no value in keeping siblings together. The Carters adopted me almost immediately, Ryan reflected. And Jessica, she stayed in the system longer, adopted at 5 by the Miller family. But Ashley checked her notes. That adoption failed. She went back into foster care, changed families several times until she was 16 when she set out on her own. And I had no idea. I built an empire. I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes, and my own sister was suffering just a few miles away. You couldn't have known, Ashley said softly. The records were deliberately obscured, but now... A soft knock on the door interrupted them. Sarah entered, still wearing the hotel robe. Sarah said it was urgent. She stopped, seeing the expression on Ryan's face. What happened is, Robert, did he... No, Ryan interrupted, standing up. Please sit. There's something you need to see. With infinite care, he began to tell her the story, showing her the documents one by one. He watched the emotions sweep across his sister's face: confusion, shock, disbelief, and finally, dawning recognition. "Mickey," she whispered, the childhood nickname that had lain buried in her deepest memories for decades. Ryan felt tears roll down his cheeks. "Hi, Jesse." The hug that followed was 30 years overdue, but no less powerful. Brother and sister clung to each other, decades of loss and loneliness dissolving into tears of recognition and rediscovered love. "I remembered a boy," Sarah sobbed against her brother's shoulder. "In my oldest memories, there was a boy who protected me, who sang to me, but the social workers said those were just dreams. Seems that I was an only child." "They deliberately separated us," Ryan explained, his voice thick with emotion. "Erased records, changed documents, but now we're together again." "Emily!" Sarah pulled away suddenly. "She needs to know she has an uncle who saved her before he even knew who she was." As if summoned, the door opened again and Lily walked in, still in her pajamas, hugging her teddy bear. "Mommy, Mr. Michael, why are you crying?" Ryan and Sarah looked at each other, a silent understanding passing between them. Sarah opened her arms to her daughter. "Come here, my love. We have an amazing story to tell you." Lily approached curiously, climbing onto her mother's lap. "What story?" "A story about two little siblings," Sarah began, her voice trembling, "who got separated a long time ago, but fate decided to bring them back together." "Like me and the twins?" Lily asked innocently. "Not exactly." Ryan knelt to look her in the eye. "Emily, your mom is my sister. I'm your uncle." Lily's eyes grew comically wide. "Uncle? Like in stories?" "Exactly like that." Ryan smiled through his tears. "That's why when I saw you on that road with the twins, I felt something special. It was my heart recognizing my family, even though my head didn't know yet." Lily looked from Ryan to Sarah and back again, processing the information. Then, with the beautiful simplicity of a child, she grinned. "So that's why you knew our song, the Little Star Song?" Sarah let out an emotional laugh. "Yes, my love, your Uncle Mickey used to sing that song to me when we were little." "Mickey?" Lily giggled at the nickname, making the adults laugh too. The sound of the twins crying in the next room interrupted the moment. Lily jumped off her mother's lap. "Come on, Uncle Mickey, let's see the babies now. You're their uncle too." As they followed Lily into the other room, Ryan and Sarah exchanged emotional looks. There was so much to process, so much to learn about each other, so many lost years to make up for. But now they had time. And most importantly, they had each other. The following days were a whirlwind of emotions. Ryan insisted that Sarah and the children move permanently to the Carter estate, while he arranged a new, secure life for them. His legal team worked tirelessly on the cases against Frank Miller, building an ironclad argument that would finally keep him away from the family. Lily thrived with her mother's constant presence and the discovery of an uncle. Her sessions with Dr. Bennett now included genuine moments of joy, not just trauma processing. The nightmares, while still present, were less frequent. "Uncle Mickey," she called one night while everyone was gathered in the estate's family room after dinner. "Tell me again what you and Mommy were like when you were little." Ryan smiled, adjusting Ethan in his arms, while Sarah fed Owen. "Well, your mom was just like you, brave, protective, always taking care of everyone." "And your uncle," Sarah added, "was the best big brother in the whole world. He always defended me, always looked out for me." "Just like me with the twins," Lily declared proudly. "Exactly like that," Ryan agreed, his heart overflowing with a love he never knew he was missing. Ashley, watching from the doorway, smiled discreetly. Her work as an investigator had revealed many stories, but none as special as this. Seeing Ryan Carter, the powerful CEO, so in control, melt around his niece and nephews, laughing with his rediscovered sister, was a remarkable transformation. "Sarah," Ryan called, noticing her. "Join us. You're part of this family now, too." As Ashley joined the group, Ryan looked around the room. His sister, his niece, his nephews, his family. Words that a week ago would have seemed impossible were now his most precious reality. "Family," he murmured to himself, savoring the word. After 30 years of a solitude disguised as success, he was finally complete. And as Lily began to sing "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star," first alone, then joined by her mother and uncle, the circle that had been broken so long ago was finally made whole. The lullaby that had survived in their deepest memories echoed once again, cradling a new generation and uniting past and present in a melody of love and hope. The boardroom on the top floor of Carter Enterprises was not just packed, it was buzzing with a quiet intensity. Lawyers from the country's most prestigious firms, federal investigators, security experts, and financial analysts filled every seat. Silence fell as Ryan Carter, shedding his usual laid-back tech CEO persona, stood before a projection screen displaying Frank Miller's face. For years, Ryan began, his voice carrying a cold fury few in the room had ever heard. "This man terrorized my sister and her children. He used corrupt connections to escape justice. He manipulated the system to keep his victims under control." He paused, his gaze sweeping the room. That ends today. Ashley Rodriguez, now officially the Director of Special Investigations at Carter Enterprises, rose with her tablet. The lights dimmed as she began her presentation. "Over the last 3 months, we've built not only a case against Cain, but have mapped his entire network of influence and corruption." Charts and photos filled the screen. 17 domestic violence charges mysteriously shelved, 23 police officers receiving irregular payments, 5 judges with suspicious rulings, 3 social service workers involved in illegal adoption schemes. James Morrison, the federal prosecutor, nodded gravely. "It's much bigger than we initially imagined. C isn't just a domestic abuser. He's a key piece in a corruption network that spans the entire state." Which is why, Ryan continued, "we're not only prosecuting him for domestic violence, we're dismantling the entire system that's protected him for so long." The meeting went on for hours, every angle of the case meticulously dissected. Ryan had mobilized resources that would make small nations envious, all to ensure his family would never have to live in fear again. As the professionals debated legal strategies, his phone vibrated with a message from Sarah. "Emily taught the twins to say 'Uncle' today. Well, something that sounds like Uncle you, have to see it." Attached was a video of the twins, now nearly 5 months old, babbling sounds that did, in fact, resemble Uncle, while Lily clapped enthusiastically. The stark contrast between the tension in the boardroom and the sweetness of that family moment made Ryan smile. "Is there a problem, Mr. Chen?" the prosecutor asked, noticing his expression soften. "On the contrary," Ryan replied, putting his phone away. "Just a reminder of why we're doing all this." 2 weeks later, the operation launched. In a coordinated sweep involving the FBI, federal marshals, and state authorities, Frank Miller's entire network was exposed and dismantled. The front-page story in the New York Times was just the tip of the iceberg. Corrupt businessman arrested in federal operation, organized crime network dismantled. Flashback 6 months earlier. Sarah shivered in her tiny Willow Creek apartment, clutching her old cell phone. Another threatening call from Frank. "I'll find you and the kids," he had slurred. "Doesn't matter where you hide, I have friends everywhere." That night, she barely slept, every creak of the old building making her jump. Present. In the Carter estate, Sarah woke with a start, the ghost of an old nightmare clawing at her. But instead of the terrifying silence of her former apartment, she heard the sound of children's laughter drifting from the garden. Looking out the window, she saw Lily helping Ryan push the twins in their specially designed jogging strollers. Her brother, always so formal and in command in the corporate world, had his sleeves rolled up, His hair was a mess, and he was laughing like a kid. "Faster, Uncle Mickey!" Lily shouted, running alongside. "They love it when you go faster." "Nightmare?" Dr. Bennett's gentle voice came from the door. Sarah wasn't surprised. Her therapy sessions usually started around this time. "Memory," Sarah corrected, turning to her therapist. But this time was different. I woke up, and reality was better than the dream. Her sessions with Dr. Bennett had become a cornerstone of Sarah's healing. The cozy office, set up in a quiet wing of the mansion, was a safe space where she could finally unpack years of trauma. "How has this week been?" the doctor asked as they settled into comfortable armchairs. Sarah thought for a moment, her eyes drifting back to the garden where her family was playing. "Yesterday," she began, Emily spilled a glass of milk on the living room rug, and She paused, tears welling. What happened? She got so scared for a moment, I saw my own fear in her eyes with Robert, an accident, like that would mean. She shuddered. But Michael just laughed. He said it was a great chance to teach the twins about accidents and cleaning up your own mess. He turned it into an educational game. "And how did that make you feel?" "Free," Sarah whispered, like another chain had broken. Emily laughed so hard trying to clean the rug with the twins helping, it was beautiful to see her just being a child, unafraid. The Carter estate had become not just a house, but a sanctuary of healing. What was once a monument to wealth and corporate success now pulsed with life and love. The formal dining room with its massive 20-seat table was replaced by a cozier space with a round, custom-built table that seated 8, the core family and regulars like Ashley and Dr. Bennett. The kitchen, once a showroom of high-tech, rarely used appliances, was now the heart of the home. Ryan had hired a chef who not only prepared meals but also taught Lily how to make cookies, with the twins always watching, clapping their chubby hands. "Uncle Mickey," Lily called one afternoon, "covered in flour. I made special chocolate cookies for you." Ryan, who had just stepped out of a video conference with international investors, didn't hesitate to scoop her up, even if it ruined his Italian suit. "These are the most special cookies in the world," he declared after tasting one, even though it was slightly burnt. "Fit for the best 5-year-old chef on the planet." The children's rooms were completely transformed. Lily's, once a generic guest room, was now a fairy tale kingdom with hand-painted murals and fluorescent stars on the ceiling forming actual constellations. Ryan's idea to spark her interest in science. The twins' room was a soft explosion of colors and textures designed to stimulate their development, with a discreet, state-of-the-art monitoring system that let Sarah finally sleep soundly. Ryan's own adaptation to family life surprised everyone, especially himself. The man who once lived for spreadsheets now organized his entire corporate schedule around family milestones. Mr. Carter, his new executive assistant, said one day, "The board is asking to postpone the 3:01 p.m. meeting to 4:00 p.m. "Impossible," Ryan replied without hesitation. "It's the day of Emily's school presentation. She's reciting a poem she wrote about family." The news of Miller's conviction and the dismantling of his network brought a wave of relief, but also new emotional territory to navigate. "HEK never hurt us again?" Lily asked one night at dinner, her directness catching them off guard. Ryan and Sarah exchanged a look before he answered. "No, princess. He's in a high-security prison far away, and even when he gets out there, are laws and very powerful people making sure he can never come near you." "Like you?" Lily asked. "Like me, like Aunt Ashley, like all the friends helping us keep our family safe." Spring arrived, bringing not just flowers, but a special idea from Ryan. On a beautiful morning, he gathered the family. How about a special picnic? The sparkle in his eye told Sarah she already knew his intention. When the car stopped on that same stretch of highway, now transformed by spring into a corridor of wildflowers, the emotions were overwhelming. "It's here," Lily whispered, recognizing the place where her life had changed. Ryan had planned everything. An elegant canopy was set up under the large pine tree, shielding them from the sun. Colorful cushions and soft blankets created a cozy space. The twins, now much more active, crawled around, trying to grab at flowers and chase butterflies. Lily, initially quiet, soon brightened. "Did you know this was where I first met Uncle Mickey?" she explained to her brothers as she tried to make flower crowns. "I was so scared, but he showed up just like in fairy tales." "And you," Ryan hugged her from behind, "were the bravest princess I had ever seen." Sarah watched, her heart full. In her arms, Owen played with her necklace, the one holding the only photo she'd saved from her flight from Frank, a picture of Lily as a baby. "What are you thinking about?" Ryan asked, sitting beside her. "Miracles," she answered softly. "How that terrible night, when I ran with the kids, I thought everything was over, that we'd never have a chance to be happy." She paused, watching Lily try to teach Ethan how to blow on a dandelion. "And now look at us." Ryan took her free hand. "You know what's even more amazing, how everything lined up if I hadn't decided to take that shortcut on that specific night." "Destiny," Sarah completed. "Or maybe the love of a little sister for her big brother is strong enough to cross decades of separation." Laughter interrupted them. Lily had managed to make the twins giggle by blowing soap bubbles. "Uncle Mickey," she called, running toward him with a crooked flower crown. "I made this for you. Now you're officially the king of our family." Ryan lowered his head solemnly, allowing his niece to crown him. Sarah couldn't help but laugh at the sight of her powerful CEO brother wearing a crown of wild daisies. "No, little one," he corrected with a gentle smile. "There are no kings or subjects here. We're all equal a family that loves each other very much." As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, the family gathered on the blanket. The twins, worn out, dozed in the arms of their mom and uncle, while Lily, also sleepy, nestled between them. "Sing our song, Uncle Mickey," she asked drowsily. And there, in the same place where fate had brought a broken family together, 3 generations joined in the same lullaby that had traveled through decades of separation. "Twinkle, twinkle, little star." Ryan Carter, gazing at his family under a sky that was beginning to show its first stars, finally understood the true meaning of success. It wasn't in the awards in his office or the billions in his bank account. Real success was here, in Lily's sleepy smile, in the comfortable weight of Ethan in his arms, in the peaceful look on his sister's face, in the promise of 1,000 more moments like this. It was the certainty that his family, once torn apart, was now complete and stronger than ever. "Shall we go home?" Sarah suggested as the first star appeared. "We're already home," Ryan replied, his voice filled with emotion. "Wherever we are together, that's our home." Lily, nearly asleep, murmured, "Best family in the world." And as they packed up the picnic under the starry sky, Ryan knew that all his previous achievements had simply been preparation for this moment. Every challenge had led him here, to this field of flowers where, on a winter's night, destiny had conspired to reunite a broken family. Sarah, settling the sleeping twins in their strollers, smiled at her brother, a smile carrying decades of lost love finally found. Lily, drowsy but happy, held one of their hands in each of hers, connecting past and present, pain and healing, separation and reunion. "Will we always be this happy?" she asked with a child's innocence. "We'll always be us," Ryan answered, kissing the top of her head. "A family, no matter what." And under the same stars that had once witnessed so many nights of fear and loneliness, the Carter family walked together into their future. A future as bright as the star in the lullaby that had kept them connected through time and distance.